Hello and welcome to the Magic Priorities template. This is a Notion template that will help you go from feeling super overwhelmed to knowing what's on your plate, what you should do first, what comes next, and have just a bit more clarity in terms of how you're going to handle it all when you feel like a lot of stuff is being thrown at you. So there's a bit of a process for this. It's not just a template that you write a few things, add 2 or 3 items, and that's it. So let me take you through a process that will help you really take everything you got to do, everything that's on your mind, that's in your inbox, everywhere, put it on the list. We're gonna take the time to review each item, ask yourself some important questions, and then I'm gonna show you how you decide what to do first, or how the template helps you decide what to do first. So, over here, you can see the template that you've got. Now, what I want you to do is I want you to take this call out box over here, this how it works, the video, which is here for you, this is what you're watching, and the written instructions. When you're comfortable, I want you to delete all of that. And then I want you to also take all of these things that are already in here, select them like this, take all of them and put them in the bin. I need you to start with a clean template for this to really work well. So I'll show you, I've just made myself a clean one. I've removed everything, I've removed all the things. We're gonna start from scratch. So the first thing that you need to do is a big brain dump. Basically, you're gonna put in all the things to do that are on your mind. Everything that you're thinking of, everything in your inbox, everything in your to-do list. If you already have a Notion to-do list, there might be things that you want to bring in from that. But for this exercise, I'd like you to just write down everything that you can think of. This is an exercise to help you sort out your priorities separate from using your normal workspace. You could always use some of those properties from this template and apply them to your workspace later on. But let's just keep it simple. Let's do a big brain dump. For your brain dump, look at what's on your mind, what's in your notebook, what's on sticky notes. I have lots of sticky notes on my desk where I write random things I think of that should be done, that could be nice to have. Write all those down. Look at your inbox, look at your calendar. For your calendar, you might want to look ahead only for this week because maybe you're just concerned with getting things done for the week. But maybe you're planning ahead. Maybe you need to look for the month ahead, look at the events and think about every time you see an event, do I need to get something ready for this? Is there any effort needed for me? Will this add anything on my to-do list? Or after the event, do I usually need to do something after? If you've got meetings where normally you need to write a report after, something like that, maybe you want to write it there. So you're gonna go and you're gonna write all the things. And it's really simple. You just click on here where it says new page and you'll write what your thing to do is. So for the sake of this, I'm just gonna write some things to do with numbers just so I can demo how it all works. So we're gonna do 4, 5, we're gonna do 6 things so I can show you a few different scenarios. I'm being a bit lazy and not removing all the things here. Let's just clean this up. So that's my way of doing things. I like to make it all clean. So we've got 6 things that we need to do. So that's the first thing, do your brain dump. If you feel like there's like way too much stuff and it's gonna take you forever to do that, put a timer on. Give yourself 10 minutes maximum, write everything that you can within those 10 minutes, stop there, and then do the next step. If other things come up while you're doing the next step and you're remembering other things, you can always add them back in. But for the first part of this exercise, I don't want you to look at any of the other columns, just write the things that are on your mind. There's one exception. If there is a specific due date as you're writing it and you know there's a due date, do write it there. So that takes us to step number 2. You're going to pick a due date. So when do you need this thing done by? And you're going to write down or at least have a think about the milestone. I'll talk about both. So the due date, if there is a specific due date, put it in there. If there is a date that you know you're going to do this by, put it in there too. If you're not sure and it's not really something that has a specific moment where it needs to get done, then you can leave it empty. For the milestone, I've got the question here, when is it done? This is what I want you to think about when you're writing that. Sometimes it's going to be pretty clear. If your thing to do is clean the bathroom, when is it done? When the bathroom is clean. So that's very clear. You can skip writing something if that seems clear to you. But I'm asking you to think about the milestone for every little thing, because some of them might be nice to have, or some of them might be so big that you realize, well, it's going to be done when I've done these 5 other things. So then you might want to go back and write those 5 things as separate elements so that you know what really needs to get done. So this is more of a pause in the exercise to ask yourself, is this important? Is this a thing I have to do? Or is this something that's bigger than just one task? Is it something that maybe is even just a dream or a nice to have? This will help you slowly but surely eliminate some of the stuff that maybe you're thinking about, but it doesn't belong on your to-do list. It's not a thing you can do. So step number 3, you're going to ask yourself 2 questions. How important is this and how urgent is it? Let's explain the difference between the two. So the importance is about how crucial it is that it happens or not. If it doesn't happen, do things fall apart? Does it really need to happen before something else for other tasks or projects to keep working? The importance can be really personal as well. So I could have on my things to do, go to the beach with the kids, and it might be, it's not that important. We could also just go to the pool or hang out at home. But it might also be really important. I might have made a big promise saying, I promise this weekend we are going to the beach, and then it becomes really important. So the importance really varies from person to person, from task to task, for the reason why you're doing the task. Now the second question, how urgent is it? Is it happening today? Should it have happened yesterday? Is it happening in the next 2-3 days? Is there a set deadline? Usually when there's a due date and it's imminent, so it's in the next day or 2 or 3, and that can depend for you. For some people, they like to plan way ahead, so anything a month ahead is very urgent. For other people, they really only care about the next 24-48 hours. So it's all dependent on you. How urgent is it? Another way to say urgency, one of the things that's always on my list is the meal planning. That one usually becomes pretty urgent because we need to eat every single day. And if I haven't thought about what we're going to eat, it will quickly go downhill, and it's going to be really hard to find time to go do the shopping and have an actual meal plan where my meals are all planned. Now I'll give you an example a bit later about why for me this is urgent and how I can make it a bit easier on myself. So for now, for the example, I'm just going to put in some data so you can watch what it looks like as I fill this up, and I will make sure that we get some different results so you can see how it's going to look in the different views for this template. So I'm going to put some milestones here. I'm going to skip the milestones actually. I'm going to leave that to you. So let's say there are 3 things that are most important and the last 3 things are not important. First one is super urgent, not urgent. We're going to put another one like this. Super urgent, not urgent, and another not urgent. So now you can see a few things happening. Once we've decided how important and urgent things are, you will have over here, this is a formula that tells you what to do next. There are 4 scenarios. If it is very important and very urgent, these are the things that you need to do first. If it is something that is very important but it's not urgent yet, you need to add it to your schedule. So you need to know when it's going to happen before it becomes urgent. If something, it's not important but it's super urgent. So the example I was giving earlier, meal planning, I don't need to plan all my meals. I could just make it up on the go, but it is pretty urgent that I at least have an idea of what's coming up next. So I might want to delegate this. Delegate can mean a couple of things. It could mean that I tell my partner, hey, do you think you could take care of dinner? Because I haven't thought about it. I need someone to think about it, do all of that. And then that's off my plate. But another way to delegate is just finding ways to make your life easier. So if what's important to me in that is that there is a plan, that we don't eat the same thing every day, that it's balanced throughout the week and all that. And it is urgent because it needs to happen every day, every week and all that. So I may decide to rely on a meal planner. It could be a meal planner template to help me. It could be a meal delivery service. It could be a bunch of little things that make it easier for me to give part of the process, part of the thinking to someone else or something else or a service provider. So sometimes you can't just turn to someone else and say, hey, can you do this for me? But there are ways where you can say, like, is there another way I can make this easier on myself? That I can remove some of the thinking and make it easier to just get things done. So that's what happens when it's not important, but it is kind of urgent. And then the last one, it's not important, it's not urgent, it's nice to have, be fun to do. This is going to fall in the don't do this list. Because right now, this exercise, what we're trying to do is we're trying to get you from like super overwhelmed with all the things to do to knowing what needs to be done. And that means some things are going to fall in the don't do this. You might really want to, there might be things close to your heart, but it'll feel much better doing those when you know the important stuff is already taken care of, rather than just doing it in some random order because that's what you feel like doing. All right, the second thing you will have seen happen is right after the formula, another thing that this template does is there are automations to set the right status. So it may seem a bit repetitive, but it is not. This will help you sort things out in different ways, and the status will help you move things along. So as you can see here, we've got a couple of do this first. So how do you know which one you're actually going to do first if there's two of them? So I want you to learn how to do some sorting to help you figure this out. So the first thing that I want you to do, so over here, the arrows are the sorting button. So we're going to sort in two ways. So the first sort we're going to do is going to sort by what to do next. So that's the formula property. So we're going to do this, and then we're going to add another thing. We're then going to sort by the due date. So I'll show you what that ends up doing. Save for everyone. So you'll see the first things that show up, they're not the do this first. It's actually the add to your schedule and the delegate. And the reason that I want you to sort it out this way, and you'll see in the board views that we're going to look at later, I want you to do the quick wins. Things that need to be added to your schedule, once they're added to your schedule, they're not completely out of your mind, but you know they're in the right spot. So it helps you move on to the next thing. After that, I want you to delegate. So these are things that are really urgent, so we need to tackle them pretty quickly. So the faster you can say, hey, I'm not doing this, or I'm not going to do it this way, I'm going to do it in this easier way, then that's more stuff off your plate. So it's like giving away a lot of things, and then you're left with what's to do first. And because we sorted by date, well, this one's due on the December 20th and December 31st, the 30th, yeah, 31st. So we're going to do the one that's due first, and then we're going to move on to the next ones. And then the don't do this, so the nice to haves, that would be fun if I had the time. When everything here has gone from schedule, delegate, do this next into the done column, then you'll be left with don't do this. So this is how I want you to then tackle your list. I'll show you there's a few ways you can see your list so that it's a bit less overwhelming than this. Over here in the do this next, you'll see things in that exact order I just discussed. You'll see the things you need to schedule, the things you need to delegate, and the things to do this next. What I want you to do once you've scheduled something, you can just take it from here and move it to scheduled. And then it moves there. And then you can take a thing that you want to delegate and you can move it to it's been delegated. Doesn't mean it's done. It just means you've done the right next step. And then all you're left with is the things to do next. Now there's another way you can see everything. Over here, you can see everything except for this. So you could click on don't do this and open it up and see all of your things. But if you wanted to see what are tasks are not done yet, but that you've put in your schedule or delegated, you can see those there. And because they've been kind of moved to the this is going to happen in a different way than what I thought, you can still focus on the do this next and then on what to delegate, what to schedule. Again, if you've got more than one thing here, you want to make sure it's sorted by date if you're not sure which one you should do first. So we're going to click sort. we're going to click when is it due, and we're going to make sure that it is safe for everyone. The save for everyone button, if you don't see that, it's because you're just on a personal plan that doesn't have any other members or guests. I have other people, I have other members and guests on my workspace, so when I save it for everybody. So over here, by doing that, the order change. Thing to do 1 comes up first, and then thing to do 3 comes up next. That's the order in which I'm going to tackle things. And this is it. Now the challenge is for you to actually use this and stick to the plan and do the things that say do this first, and not be too tempted to go over here and open this to see what are the nice to haves or the fun things that you want to do. This could be good to look at as a motivator. You could tell yourself, every time I've done a big thing, I'll do another one. I know for some people that works really well. It's a bit like a treat at the end of accomplishing a really hard task. So now it's up to you to decide how you're going to tackle it. I hope it helps you get the peace of mind. This should at least help you know where things are, what needs to be done, how much time you've got, and if it feels like too much, especially this section, the delegating, see if there's anything else that you could get help with. So I hope you enjoyed the template. If you enjoyed it, please leave me a review. If you got the template on Gumroad, please go back to Gumroad. Give me how many stars. I'd love to know what you're thinking about it. If you want to email me, if you have questions, if it doesn't quite work for you, just send me an email. It's in the template itself if you want to email me. And well, have fun doing your list. And I hope it brings you clarity at a time of the year where things can get a little bit crazy.